There it is. Here we
Yeah, look at
are.
us both. We're already grinning and beaming because we've already been pushing on some ideas. So,
Yeah, yeah. So we were just talking about the idea of you know destiny and free will, and the idea that
if you make your own luck,
making your
yeah,
own luck, so that like destiny is what will happen for sure, whereas fate is what you make it, like what they said in Terminator 2. And so like this relates so perfectly to the day, to what the day is, which is it's called whole got, or five seed. You know, so the five represents the generative principle of masculine aspect. It it grants integration when exerting this positive attraction, right? You can look at it like the way an atom is structured. You know, you have this nucleus of attraction and periphery of manifestation, the nucleus and the electrons.
why is that five though? Like, what about that is? How do we connect five to these themes?
Let's see. I
When I think five, I'm thinking like fives are stars. Fives is like the Pentagon. I'm
Right.
like so basic, like so conventional with it. Five's one more than four. Four makes a box. It's one less than six. Six kind of is
I
the
think
Star of David. It's
I
the
think
whole number.
the way they define it, which is right here in front of me, is that it's a that every aspect of the universe has this quality, which is objective and subjective, right? Whereas I think they're correlating the nucleus of an atom to being objective. It has to be there, whereas the
Mm.
electrons would be subjective. They're
So
constantly in a
they can come and
flux.
go. Yeah.
Yeah, they can exchange between other atoms. They fluctuate constantly between different
Mm.
levels because of how they absorb light. And they mostly attribute, five to the tips of the
Mm.
fingers, the ability
Right.
to do
Nice.
things with your hands.
There we go. Yeah.
And then it also, I guess, correlates with the chromatic shade of five. This is basically the idea that shades give colors different hues,
Right.
right? How precisely that correlates to the number five,
Mm.
not
Also,
entirely sure.
the hand was reminding me. You were calling this is complex stability, right?
Well, if you think of it as the 5 points plus an origin
Right.
point, that gives
Gotcha. That
you organic balance,
gotcha.
and
That's six.
complex stability comes from having two.
Two. So that's 12. Yeah.
12, right, 12
Gotcha.
points.
So that's not quite there. I
Right.
was thinking though how, or I was realizing not to, correlate it again to the body is that you have essentially five limbs, or if you think of what is it, Da Vinci's, what's the painting of
The
the
Vitruvian Man.
the Vitruvian Man, right? He's got his body out like a star. 5 points. You've got your head, you've got your arms, and you've got your legs.
Yeah.
Um,
Which
so yeah. So
is
what are the yeah
probably a more practical way of looking at it.
that is that, or there is a more practical way?
I no, I'm saying that's probably the more practical way to look at it.
More practical. So yeah, what were you saying? Are the themes of a tone of five?
Is splendor, command, giving power,
Splendor.
right? Which yeah, which I mean, like if you're thinking of it as a 5 pointed star, yeah, does
Right.
your and correlating it to the Vitruvian Man, like
Right.
Da Vinci was, depicting the splendor of the human body
Mm,
through the full range of its motion and
right.
dimensions. Right, and
Right.
correlating it, I think, to different levels of consciousness in that way as well, through the
'Cause in the
Vitruvian
same,
Man.
yeah, in that same way, four couldn't be that. Six couldn't be that. Like four, because I was thinking too, like four is it's all the cardinal directions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Northeast, southwest. And then you throw in five, it's like, well, what direction does that fifth point go? And it's like you need to make room for it, and to make room for it, it becomes this obviously every number is its own new thing, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
might as well be splendor, right? That's where heaven is. You
Yeah.
can start going up. It gives you depth rather than just northeast, southwest. Now you're at a new level of depth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it also apparently correlates to the capacity of accomplishment, like I was saying with the fingers, and that in that sense of having 4 points, where does five fit into it? You got that center point, right? Which it
Mm.
says correlates to the center of the galaxy, the center of the universe, rather,
Well,
right?
is it five that is often correlated with a spiral too, or is that 10? I feel like I come across that recently too. That five is a spiral, and then so is 10. 10 is also, like a way of representing it is through a spiral for some reason. Because again, that center point, or like a galaxy, right,
Mm-hmm.
is as a spiral. It's got a center or a nucleus. A nucleus. The
Mm-hmm.
electrons spin around it. So that spiral does seem to be thematic for five for some reason.
Yeah, yeah, and that makes sense to me, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I don't have anything on it here in my little, uh,
Yep.
a reference
I'm
guide,
here
but
for the I'm here for the extra connections. Anything outside of what has already been written. So, all
yeah, yeah, yeah.
right.
Um,
What else we got?
so, funny enough, the symbol for today is the fourth symbol, right? And so that
Oh,
is,
right.
so the
Because
narwhal
we're
itself.
in the fifth. We're
It's the fifth day
the fourth symbol, but it's the fifth day,
of the
right?
week,
Because light was is the 20th symbol.
20th symbol,
Yeah,
first day of this week, right?
first day of this week. Yep.
So,
We got 4 more days. Then.
so got or the fourth symbol is known as seed, right? It it's the idea, right? That's why it's always often called a seed. Plant the seed. Uh, it is also the understanding of the power of the order of growth, like how things grow in a certain pattern. It's a generative principle, and it obviously, relates to uh, sex and reproduction, right?
Seed.
Right, the seed.
Yeah.
Uh,
The next generation.
mm-hmm, exactly. And it also happens to be a yellow symbol, which, getting into the whole idea of cardinal directions, right? Each cardinal direction, like the medicine wheel in native understanding, is for Mayans, north is white, south is yellow, east is red, and west is blue.
Okay. And that refers also to the Mayan cross too, which I was doing
Cor-
some looking up of. Is
correct.
south the yellow is also your destiny, right? Like towards your feet.
When you're doing your Mayan cross,
Yeah,
yes, south is where you're
where
headed
you're headed.
towards. Mm-hmm.
With your that's your destiny, and we're talking about destiny, right? It's like
Mm-hmm.
this is your life path.
Mm-hmm.
You can't escape your destiny. You're going to encounter certain experiences,
Right.
um, but fate is what you make it. So like
Mm-hmm.
you can work within, or how you respond to the experiences that you're going to have is more or less up to you.
Yep. Yep. And how uh, quickly you learn those lessons will dictate how often they'll appear and how much
Ah,
smoother your ride's going to be towards your destination.
wild.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, like, getting back to the idea of the Mayan cross, your birth cross, your pathway from north to south is always going to be the same color. You know,
Hmm.
for me, as the road symbol, my first, my north narwhal is that of the seed, which is, the understanding of sex and reproduction, but mine was 8 seed. So, like, I already understood, like, without having to have the explanation told to me, I already understood how sex worked. Like, it was
Whoa.
weird. It was very weird having that understanding in my
You
life
never
at that
needed.
young age.
You never needed. Yeah, you never needed the birds and the bees.
No, I really
Not.
didn't.
I mean, most people don't even get it. Most people don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
and like I really
yeah.
didn't ever want to talk about it. And I
Right.
had some Me Too moments, but like yeah, I think that was just part of, the lessons that I need to learn and part of the karmic reflection of my previous life.
Oh yeah.
So, so that north node transitioned into my central node, my Nawal, the day I was born on,
Right.
which is 3 road, and then that.
And that's what we tend to experience in the middle of our, well, midlife. But I mean, it's like once you're, that's what you're telling me too. Is like you kind of experience the most part um, your north symbol
Mhm.
early in life. So
Yes.
that's what you're experiencing early in life. That's what you're talking about is having that awareness
Hmm.
um, as a child,
Yeah.
and then you become an adult, and then you grow into your birth Nual, your birthday Nual symbol,
Hmm.
um, in and around your 30s. So most
Um,
like
no, it's more
yeah.
like you as soon as like all of the hormones kicked in, right?
Oh,
You
okay.
finally got the chemistry in your body
Of your
working
of
like
your
it
adult
would
self.
of your adult self.
Okay.
That's when it kicks in.
Gotcha. So you're really only in that um, initial phase in your adolescence, I guess.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then once you go through puberty and most of that, I mean, puberty itself can last for 10 years, where you're still growing and
Right.
getting everything in place. Um,
Which is also explains why it's so awkward because you're literally transferring from one energy style into another.
oh, totally. I
Yeah.
mean, every reason why being a conscious being is weird and awkward you experience when you go through puberty. So,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
uh,
Nothing seems to make sense. Everything feels weird. Like, what is this? This is
right,
not what I grew up in.
man.
Yeah, yeah. And
Ooh,
so when
yeah.
you're about it's I believe 52. I believe that's when it happens. You transition into your south node symbol, your south
And
node
so again,
novel.
these are general age ranges, right? Because it just like kind of like what we started on Destiny or Fate, it's like kind of up to you on or your circumstances or how you respond to certain events. Like yes, you will go through these changes,
Hmm.
but it might depend on how rigid you are clinging to a way of being. Whether I don't know,
Well,
maybe that's just my assumption.
as far as your lessons concerned, I think yeah, it's dependent on what you do with it. But as far as like how the physical changes happen energetically, it's very specific on a timeline. Like
On a timeline.
yeah,
Okay.
so like there's multiple cycle states. 12 and a
Okay.
half years is a major cycle, so that's probably where that switch happens from adolescent narwhal into adult narwhal, right? Which is about little almost 13, right?
And then we'll say elder Narwhal for once you're 52.
Right, yeah, and that is also a very specific time because that's
Right.
when the Tzolk'in calendar realigns with the Ha'at calendar, the seasonal calendar. The precession
Oh,
around
okay.
the planet. So, like, when they
Interesting.
actually realign is at, I believe it's 52, might be 54.
Right. So for every individual, that happens when they turn 52.
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
I've been realizing in my own life recently, like I was a monkey. Monkey is my child, uh, Noel,
Mm-hmm.
and I
Sure.
think
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense. I have to look into that, but playfulness, or I don't
Mm-hmm.
know, social. I don't remember all the details of that.
Yeah. A bit of a
But
chatterbox, always thinking of what's on your mind.
chatterbox for sure. I mean, some of those things are still there. Although I guess as I've moved into adulthood, like those are the things that I had to put away. Like I had to learn how to go. Oh, there's a time and a place to chatterbox. Like now, like hey, like this is great. We can talk as much as we need to.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that there was very much a time and the place, and so yeah, I can definitely see that like I what I was going to get at is like growing up. My dad was very much like um, I was an intuitive, and so I kind of like came from this stance of like I can see how things go. I can kind of like intuit like what's happening over there. And my dad tried to impress on me that well, yeah, but experience is the best teacher, and it makes sense that like you need to experience time, like as a person.
Mm-hmm.
For it doesn't matter what the experience is, it will teach you, and then it will teach you things, even if it feels like you're not learning anything.
Yeah.
Um, and that moves you. That moves you as a being through different cycles. And so yeah, you transform naturally, and that there would be like a very mechanical, cosmic, mathematical alignment that would fit into a very um, precise, uh, yeah, uh, timeline. So that does make sense. So that it would be like nearly, where you could actually pinpoint things nearly to the year,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
or even more precisely.
Let's see. 12, 1, 13, 1, 2. So is what you were born on two? So your past symbol was two monkey.
Oh yeah, I wasn't able to do the. I don't know the tone of it, but
Mayan Cross should give that to you.
yeah, I'll
MayanCross.com.
look at it again. I know that it's a monkey, storm, and then I go to deer. I
Ah,
think deer destiny.
yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, yeah. Magical
I
future,
love this.
sir.
I just love it when I tell you something that I've learned about, and you're just like, "Oh, I see it. I see
Yeah.
you. I see you in that."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So in the idea of completing the whole cross here, so you've got
Right.
we've been talking about the pathway, the north to south pathway.
North to
We
south.
also
Okay.
right, so we can't ignore the east to west aspect, right? Which is always, not usually, it's always your opposing cardinal direction, right? So if you're thinking, white north, yellow south, blue east, red west, all that, it'll it'll be the opposite sign, and those are your internal machinations, right? That's how your brain is wired.
Oh,
So, and it'll give you your, let's call it your yin yang or your male female aspect, right? So I'll just come back to me because I know my own
yes. Do yours. Do yours.
cardinals
Yeah.
the best. Um, so my left brain, my logical side, will always be in a matter of the mirror or the ritual dagger, right? which is the
Nice.
18th symbol. The 18th symbol, the one right before yours. So
And what do you mean by mirror?
it's reflection. Like it
And that
is.
has to do with the tone. Is that the tone? Or
So it would be nine. The Nawal is called Etsnab or Tihash, depending on which tribe you're from. And really, a quick note on how the language works. They're the opposite aspects of each symbol, right? So they both mean the exact same thing. They're just
oh,
like the light and dark side of each understanding.
okay.
So, just for example, the best example for it is the jaguar, right? It's like I think the Yucatec call it the balam, and the Quiche call it the ish, right? So if you're looking at a cat, right, and you take those sounds because they base all of their language on the sounds of the universe. If you take those sounds, how does a cat make those sounds? Right? Balam, which was what they refer to as their shaman, the Balam is balam balam.
Yes,
It's
yes.
purring, right? So that's the beneficial, that's the healing aspect. Whereas the Ish would be the opposite direction. Right? Yeah, exactly. Hiss, warning, danger, don't mess with me. I'm going
Gotcha.
to wreck your world. Right? And that's what they would, I'm pretty sure how they refer to their, you know, dark sorcerers within that, because it is the sign of the sorcerer, the jaguar.
Right.
So like you've got your light side, your light shaman, and your witch doctors, if you will. So every sign has that.
Has
For
their kind of their positive or negative aspect. Yeah.
right, yeah, and I believe that's why there's that split in the language is in order to preserve the knowledge from those who would just try and destroy it.
Right. Hmm.
So they're one tribe just with utilizing half the information in each language structure. So coming back to the cross,
Nice.
so my left logical side is the tone would be nine mirror, right? So nine is about cycles, cyclical repetition of events. If you think of it as a wave function, right? It's a very tight wave function. So nine it's knob, nine mirror, I always think of as like a laser beam, right? Because its knob is also known as the ritual dagger, the knife. So like a laser beam, like when focus can cut through stuff, right? But it's also so dialed in that it doesn't take into account the other aspects of light around it. So like you also have to be very cautious about those things. You always have to look backwards in time to see how the results could proceed forward.
Gotcha.
Cyclical
That's how you
regularity.
mitigate. Yeah. That's how you the strengths and weaknesses of that aspect. That's how you.
Exactly, exactly.
Gotcha.
And so this logical side is nine mirror, creative, artistic side is 10 death, manifestation of transformation, right? Because that's what 10 represent is
Right.
manifestation and perfection. And the sixth symbol, death, is about transformation, death and rebirth. You know, uh, frogs are good examples of these. Butterflies, which oddly enough I've had
Oh,
in my life, in my house,
gotcha.
all of my life.
Because like frogs go from tadpole and then they transform into frogs.
Mm-hmm.
They start as eggs.
Mm-hmm.
And butterflies, they do the whole caterpillar cocoon, beautiful butterfly
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. So
metamorphosis.
Yeah, yeah, it's all about metamorphosis, transformation. So,
Well, that's six too. That's six, I guess.
hmm
Uh,
organic
in
balance,
so many other ways. Yeah. What'd you say?
organic balance,
Organic balance.
right?
Yeah.
Things have to die in order for other things to live, right?
Hmm.
That's where you get nutrients for the soil. Something died in order to provide those nutrients for other things to grow.
I love. This is one of my favorite things to do is also like just look at all the different parallels, right? So you've got six is carbon, and we're carbon-based life forms, and
Mm-hmm.
so six, that just means um, six electrons, right? Around
Uh, yeah,
or
typically that's the
right
usually the
or
isotope that we observe is 6 electrons around 6 protons.
so that we're carbon-based, and that gives us life. That, and then we're also talking about the other side. The fact about being alive means that you're going to die, and that's
Yeah.
like very difficult for people to accept. But
Mm-hmm.
but that's the only truth that you can really find about what it is to be alive is that's the other side is not being alive, for whatever that's worth,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
just yeah,
Well, I mean, it gives you an appreciation for life because of
right,
death, right?
right. And I would hope, like it seems like it's very difficult to see that that's actually that yeah, to have that appreciation uh, for what this experience is, um, even if it does, whether or not you believe that it continues after this, but this is your only chance to be this what you are as an individual this time this way, and so you learn everything. That's why you learn everything in your life anew,
Mm-hmm.
because regardless of whether or not your soul has the experience, it's never had the experience of being you, and that's why it's so unique, and that's why it seems so silly that in this day and age we're so bored with being, like so bored with being, or that's so prevalent. That seems like one of the biggest diseases of being alive is like being afraid of your aliveness, being afraid of what it means to be alive, being afraid of all of these general things that should be like the first lessons that you're trying to cope with as
Mm-hmm.
you're born and you grow up. The first lessons is like, hey, look, be careful with. That's why we, hey, be careful over there. Don't touch that,
Mm-hmm.
uh, because we've experienced it and we know that. Um, but still, it's not like that ever helps. I know I have a 2-year-old son and he wants to explore and do things that are dangerous. You
Mm-hmm.
need to experience it for yourself. And as a parent,
Exactly.
that's a difficult lesson that you need to learn as a parent is like, yeah, they're gonna get hurt and it's gonna you're gonna have to go through that experience again with them because
Yep.
that's just life, baby. It's just
Yep. Yep.
how
And
could it be any other way?
exactly.
Anyway,
And I love that you touched on that because that's exactly what today is about. Is
yeah, no,
understanding,
because it's deep, it's new.
right? Yeah. So
Well, yeah.
so the understanding of the positive aspects of this energy is that the seed is the understanding the first order of the pattern of growth, right? And they stress to you in this understanding that you and your life are the fertile soil of which you plant this seed, and that mystery of what you're going to grow to blooms within you through the power of your intentions, right? And your thoughts, right? So basically, like what we were saying before is like your perceptions and your understanding will dictate how you choose things and choose to react to certain things in your life. But the things are going to come to you no matter
Mm,
what. And so that's going to dictate whether you choose to grow this branch this way or that way, or
mm.
produce these leaves over here towards the light, or maybe away from it in a certain direction, or whatever,
Okay.
whatever.
like in other words, you are a seed that has programming. That's like you're going to grow leaves, you're going to grow branches, you're going to grow a trunk because you're a tree seed.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you're an oak tree, because
Sure. Yeah.
oaks
Yeah.
are strong, right? Uh, so you have the plan, the programming to grow an oak tree, but until you are in action, until you burst from that seed and start experiencing your surroundings, your environment, your context for this iteration, you don't know where those roots are going to go, where those first branches are going to go, where those first leaves are going to go, where that next branch is going to go.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you just know that it's your job as that tree to start putting roots in, keep growing roots,
Mm-hmm.
slow down on the roots, start growing more branches, start growing more leaves. It's
Mm-hmm.
time to start building seeds and pods or flowers, and yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that
E-
that's
Exactly.
that's where the free will or the fate make it kind of thing comes in
Well,
for any being, right? Because like not
correct.
even just people, but like you can kind of break down that process for animate as well as inanimate um, beings,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Like
Like we were talking about how a while back how diamonds are formed through pressure and
right,
darkness and heat, right? Where like it might grow this way or it might grow that way because there's certain pressures on this side and there's certain pressures on that side. But because
right,
there's more heat in the center, it's going to crystallize there first, and that might branch out in this way. You know,
yeah.
which,
Um,
which
I've heard from my esoteric Gnostic teachings or endeavors in that direction that like if you build up karma, like if you are exposed to lessons and you don't learn them or don't accept them, and you build up karma, and it builds up so much that that's what ostensibly that's what hell is you go back to being a mineral form. So like it's like and if you're going back to being like the mineral of coal somewhere, deep anywhere in the universe, right? And you have to spend millions of years just under pressure, just like change, like just like learn the lesson, damn it. Like
yeah.
you had the opportunity to do it as higher beings, as an ant even, like be
Mm-hmm.
grateful that you had that experience. Uh or we will crush it into you. And it'll be millions of years. It'll be millions of years before you get to be anything else,
Mm-hmm.
and just how intense that must be.
Yeah.
And yeah, the only way that you get to be that is from just utter defiance uh, of accepting your karma or accepting your fate. I guess
Mm-hmm.
if again like
Yeah. Yeah.
or your destiny maybe.
Well, I mean, in the idea of your life is dictated by the intentions that you have. Have you ever heard of Dr. Masaru Emoto?
Is he the one that did the water experiment, or is that somebody else?
Exactly. Yes. And so, like, we are mostly water beings, right? It's better than 70% of our body is made up of water. And so, whatever intentions, whatever words, whatever thoughts you constantly give your body, that is what wants to crystallize in
Hmm.
your body. So,
Yeah.
like, if you're sitting there constantly giving yourself love and hope and positive affirmations, it's going to crystallize into this really beautiful thing when it's put into the conditions that it needs to crystallize. For water, it's hitting the freezing point, right?
Right.
But when you go the opposite direction,
So, so
and
cold exposure. Do some cold showers and take some ice baths
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
crystallize.
it'll help.
When you're feeling really good, when you feel really good, you wanna jump in that ice bath because
Yeah,
then you'll
yeah.
preserve that
Right,
good
right,
feeling.
yeah, yeah.
That's what it means
Crystallize those
literally.
thoughts into your body. Yeah, just come on, Wim
Just try
Hof,
and hold
buddy.
on. just try and hold on to really positive thoughts when you go into an ice bath. I
Right?
mean, that
Yeah.
really is the trick. If you can, then yeah, very much so. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so, like, if you go in the opposite direction and just feed like all this muck, just like these bad thoughts, like you suck, you don't matter, like you're never gonna be good enough. It won't crystallize into anything that we recognize as a crystal. It'll
Right.
just be this amorphous blob. And from like some of the more recent photographs that I've seen, it goes even further than that, right? Bruce Lee talks about how water takes up any shape and that you need to be like water, right? It has memory. Well, it's got so much memory that it will crystallize, holding the image of something that you've given it, right? So there's like been you can go all over different social media platforms that kind of showed these different videos. One in particular struck me hard, is somebody just had their thumb in a petri dish of water, froze that petri dish, and you could see the image of a thumb in that same position frozen in it. You know, you could see there was like an angry face, that somebody took a picture of and, kind of
Right.
instilled that image into water or put it near it, right? And then froze it and that image was in the water. So it water has memory.
Yeah.
It's like the most
Um, that does
powerful
make me
thing that we have, as far as I'm aware,
totally. I mean,
except for
it's the
maybe
reason for life.
hydrogen.
It's the reason for life on Earth, right? So like, yeah, we're carbon-based life forms, but like we wouldn't, none of this life would be here if it wasn't for liquid water, like the availability and the the water cycle itself.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah. So
I also recently looked up, and I'm going to get back to seed too,
yeah, yeah.
but something compelled me to look this up, and it was actually, the body is mostly water, but by weight, we are mostly oxygen.
Okay. Yeah.
So that was that, and that just got me thinking. And take that whatever you want with that, because, but that oxygen is what we consider to be the most vital element of air, and we wouldn't want too much of it mixed into our air, because then everything would be on fire and nothing would be able to survive. So just that we have just the right amount of oxygen, but also that we, by weight,
Mm-hmm.
are technically more air and well, not more air, but more oxygen, literally
Mm-hmm.
oxygen. 'Cause,
But I mean that makes a lot of sense. Though, funny enough, when you look back in the fossil record, like there was a clear abundance of oxygen in the atmosphere. I think it was like something like 3 times the amount of oxygen that we have currently,
right,
and the creatures at that time were enormous,
right,
right? So like a dragonfly or something like that, which is usually about this big, was just huge, just
right.
absolutely immense. So oxygen in that kind of abundance, I think, can create bigger things. Though, as far as I don't want to say sustainability, but
Well,
as
that makes sense, because like that's why also the Earth, as like a living entity itself, has had mass extinctions to try and reintroduce life forms with a different ecosystem where there is less oxygen, so that there could be more biodiversity. And otherwise it would never have given rise to hominids and apes that walked upright and bipedal. Like we
mm-hmm,
wouldn't have been here if there weren't these mass extinctions to make just the right, what is it called? But just the right petri dish of chemistry, so that we could have evolved to this point, even to have the population and technology that we do. We think we're making a big impact on the the environment with climate change, but no, this is just a natural process that the Earth goes through every tens of thousands of years. Um, we just happen to be living through one right now in
Yeah.
this day and age where we have AC and we expect to be able to control the weather, uh, uh, and yet there are forces beyond our control, and we think that we have. I mean, obviously we're doing things that are having an immense impact on our ability to continue living as
Hmm.
we have been. Um, but but yeah, no, that's just the Earth's cycles. So it'd be really interesting to know what day of the Noel the Earth was born on. I think that would be like a fruitless exercise, but like because when was the Earth technically born? Like
Right.
when was it technically Earth? Um,
Yeah.
or I guess like when did life start on Earth? I guess that's when you could probably. That'd be really curious to know, like where were the stars at that point? Like where, and was that long enough ago where it's almost irrelevant because the stars have moved so much since then too. That's
Yeah.
got to be billions of years, or yeah, I don't know, or hundreds of millions. But
Yeah. That'd be really interesting to try and figure out.
anyway, sorry,
Yeah.
I know your laser beam knife brain.
Just
Can't
focus.
handle that big picture, that big focus. Let's get back to seed. I mean, but that is talking about the seed day for the Earth. Like
Hmm.
the Earth is like, hey, I'm going to endeavor to have a bunch of life on Earth in this on me,
Yeah.
and that's going to mean a lot of death, and it's
Hmm.
going to mean a lot of um, reiterations, reproductions
Yeah.
of what life looks like on me. So
Right.
weird.
And
But yeah,
how it's all gonna grow. Yeah.
yeah.
So, and the limitless possibilities of that,
Mm,
right? Because
hmm
you were talking about biodiversity. Like, that's what really today is about, is understanding that there's an unlimited amount of possibilities, but because of our perceptions or thought patterns or whatever, our intentions, like, we start to narrow those things in, right? We self limit. And so, like, there's just one idea that I want to really get out there, is that it goes into the idea of how the pattern of light is known as, well, they say it's contained within the seed, the pattern of growth, the hologram of potential, and how it's going to fulfill its nature is through what's known as entelky. The pattern that directs an organism towards the fulfillment of its own nature, like we were talking about with the carbon being put under those pressures and heat in order to create a diamond. Well, entropy describes how the chemical compounds themselves want to exist. So if you look at a diamond, the most efficient way for it to exist is pure carbon, right? But because it's so condensed and crystallized, it's going to take so long to break down into pure carbon that we just assume that it's forever because it's going to be well past our own lifetimes as organic beings. But enthalpy is the direction by which the carbon is going to take shape based off of its environment, right? And intentions. I don't necessarily
mm,
know if carbon transforming into a diamond could perceive intentions that way, but because all matter is conscious to some degree, there's probably some of that exists. And like you're saying with your Gnostic views or your Gnostic learnings, that the lower vibratory existence of consciousness is equivalent to hell, for us because it's so much
right.
lower and slower.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it isn't a big leap to like that. I mean, when you talk about it that way, right? when we phrase it that way or frame it that way, it's like that's essentially what the descriptions of hell are. It's like what could be more uncomfortable? Like, yeah, maybe burning infernos, but like, yeah, think about the pressure. Like, think about the friction that you'd have to be under forever. Like what felt like forever for millions of years in order to change you alchemically into um, into something that is sought after. Carbon, which is like what's left over after you burn a tree,
Mm-hmm.
that has to be under pressure for millions of years. You know, almost a time span that we can't really conceive of,
Mm-hmm.
which would essentially be forever. You have to be buried under pressure,
It's eternal
immense pressure.
darkness with
Yeah,
immense heat.
darkness,
You know,
darkness. Like, yeah,
and
and no escape, no escape confined.
right, yeah,
That's
and
what hell is. You know?
the idea of pins and needles, perhaps like the torture. Could that be what the crystallization is? That alchemical transformation. It's not
Yeah,
comfortable, right? But it's constantly
yeah.
branching out the way crystals do, and they are
Oh,
spiky, pointy. Like,
mhm,
I can't imagine that feels comfortable. It probably
right.
feels like torture.
But then at the same point, it's like if you can endure that hell for millions of years, um, right? You turn into a diamond, which ain't
Mm-hmm.
bad if you're a mineral. You know,
Right,
like
right,
as far as
yeah.
minerals
Like
go, like
you're the
that's
hardest thing, cuts through
most
everything.
treasured.
Yeah,
Mhm.
most
And
sought
that's kind of the
after.
idea. That's the kind of the idea too of um, in that you must go through hell in order to, or you must descend in order to ascend.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because then you might get dug up and put on some human's finger, and then you
Right.
get to kind of experience that life, to whatever that means,
Mm-hmm.
um, because you're now sought after
Yeah. And then
after going through that hell.
yeah, and then you're like not only that, but like you're kind of shaped into something that catches as much light as possible,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So now you're on full display, showing the most precious and vulnerable points of your existence, and everyone admires it for its sheer beauty
Right.
and strength.
I love this too. Like I love this concept of the seed in general for all of this, right? So it's like, you don't may not know like if you're a piece of carbon that you're going to become a diamond. All you know is the pressure you're under and maybe the sense of time passing,
Mm-hmm.
and if that, just this is what you're going to be. You're
Right.
going to be this piece of carbon, and so you don't even know that you're on your way to becoming a diamond. And I love the idea of a seed too, because like you don't know what kind of oak tree you're going to be. If you just know that you're a seed. You just know you have infinite potential.
Mm-hmm.
This is like the day zero of that book that I was talking about. The zero is the seed too, in the
Mm-hmm.
sense that it's infinite possibility. Even though it's a seed for an oak tree, it's like you don't know what is possible for this oak tree. This could be a flying oak tree. Like it's never been seen before, but the potential is there, right? Like you don't know what environment you're going to be exposed to, so it
Mm-hmm.
could, and you don't know what world you're going to be, what it's going to be like, and it could be that just the wind is just right or whatever, and you grow your leaves in just a way that because of that yeah, like you're like a tree that's just like I don't
Yeah,
know,
it's like you got
like
loamy
you could go
soil
that
that's
far, right?
yeah, it's
Just as
like
far as it goes the other way, right? Like you could go through, immense pressure as coal to become a diamond. I mean, if you're a tree, I mean, if you're a seed of a tree, if you're a human being, like obviously you've already been through. You have so much opportunity. You have these five fingers. You have these 5 points. You have this ability just innately, regardless of how far you've made it in life so far. If you're alive listening to this, it's like the abilities that you have that you're totally unaware of, or just like we just are we stop being in awe of. It just becomes
Mm-hmm.
so the norm, and we don't feel like how amazing it is. That that always impresses me,
Yeah.
um, and that's what always kind of has me feeling uh, connected to or relating to people who are going through hard times or going through hell. It's like, they're on their way to being a diamond. Is
Yeah.
one way to look at it too, and to see that as, um, to help ourselves see them in a different light rather than, just seeing them as a piece of coal or a seed um, struggling to break its shell.
Right. Yeah. And so, in that idea of struggling and feeling weak and whatnot, um, let's look at the other side, the shadow of the seed, and how to correct those things.
Sure.
So most of the time, when you're embodying this, or you're going through the day of the seed, like a good way to understand these shadow points and see them is that these are where the feelings of insecurity can come from, right? The limiting, self-limiting possibilities, choosing to remain safe at the expense of awakening, expansion,
Hmm.
and growth. And the best way to realize, to get out of those things, is to realize that you and your life, again, are the fertile soil. You awaken to your own dreams and your possibilities. You need to free yourself from the illusion of protection while you enter the possibilities and take into full uh, accountability. Just demonstrate that you're alive. Just
It's so
show
funny.
everything that you are, right?
The shadow of being a seed is, don't be a seed. Stop being a seed.
Well,
Break
don't
break free from your seed.
don't lock yourself in your shell, because it's an
Right.
illusion, right? If you lock
Right.
away yourself away in your house, sure, yeah, you might be protected from the elements for a while,
Right.
but a
Right.
tornado could come by and just totally rip the roof off your house. A car
Yeah.
could just crash into your house, and then all of a sudden you're completely exposed,
Very
right?
much carpe diem, seize the day, kind of like, if
Yeah,
you're a seed, it's like there's no time like now to get going because yeah, you never know if you'll get that opportunity again. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. So, um, because a good way also to look at it is to see is to act as dormant, like not doing anything, right? And you have to realize that this is a disservice to yourself because you've got this illusion of safety and keeping yourself distant from the world around you when the new horizons are out there waiting for you. So the best piece of advice is to take a chance. You know, uh, take that chance. If you're feeling something that you want to do, but you've got these ideas, it's like, oh, I'm not really good enough, or nobody's gonna like me. It's just like, forget that. Like that's just gonna keep you locked into your
Hold
same
yourself.
situation. That cycle's gonna sit there and repeat over and over. If you take that chance, it's gonna reveal everything of who you are, everything, like those neuroses and the truth about who you are and who you want to be. So those, when it reveals those neuroses, that's the opportunity to just be like, oh, I don't need those things. Like I don't need those self-limiting beliefs because this is who I am, right? Like I've had, I don't know how many opportunities in auditions and whatnot to like chime in and say, hey, I want to do this thing, but I didn't. I didn't take that
Yeah.
chance. But I was there having that experience. Now I know. It's like anytime somebody says, "Hey, anybody want to try something else?" Like, yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. I didn't get the chance to do
Yeah.
this, and I really want to do it. You know, and I prepped and set up for weeks for that particular spot that I just didn't take the chance on, and that was
Hmm.
just silly of me. So, uh, it it's the
You
opportunity
had
to.
shot, one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted,
Would you capture it or let it slip?
or let it slip.
Yeah,
Exactly, just like that.
yeah. Thank you, Em, for your
Yeah,
lyrical understandings of the world.
yeah.
Uh,
Freak.
oh, and another aspect is that a person might expect something or something else or someone else to do it for you, to do that thing for you. I mean, which kind
Hmm.
of happens sometimes as a kid, right? So if you constantly shelter your child,
Right,
right, and do the things for them, they're never going to have the experience, they're never going to learn, and they'll become dependent on you for those
right.
things. And when it
It's
comes
also why,
time,
yeah,
yeah,
it's also why they say don't peel the shell away from a chick who's trying to hatch, right? They
mm-hmm,
need to do that process so that they can build the strength, you know, as early as possible. They need those exercises uh,
mm-hmm,
to become
yeah,
what they were meant to be.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, becoming what you're meant to be. See that I think that's where the struggle comes in too. Is like that idea that you're meant to be something. That feels like you're being dragged along. I think that that's where some resentment can come from, right? It's why staying in the shell. It's like seems safer because
Mm-hmm,
like if I go out there, then people are going to expect things of me. There's going to be expectations,
mm-hmm,
and then that can be I'm not going to measure up. And as long as I stay here in my seed, I can always measure up in here inside in this I but I guess the irony is that you're never really testing yourself.
right. You're never going to
What you don't
grow.
realize is you're never really testing, so you don't even know what you like or what you are. Or you
Right,
won't
yeah.
know.
And
Yeah.
in terms of measuring up, right, if you stay in your seed, you're always going to be small,
Hmm.
and people are going to see that potential in you to be this
Right.
great big oak. But because you're not allowing yourself to break out of that shell and become the oak, to grow into the oak that you are destined to be, everybody's gonna be like, "Well, dude, why aren't you up there? Like, you should be up there." It's like, well, it, I'm worried about what you're gonna think of me. It was just like, well, we're all gonna think something.
We're already
It'd be-
thinking of you, and
right,
it's not as good as it could be,
right,
as,
exactly, because we
as
can
it
see
currently
that
can.
potential in you,
Yeah.
like, because we all have that understanding of what the hologram of potential becomes. It's the manifestation of that thing, and when you're not doing the work to grow towards that thing, like, yeah,
Right.
you're gonna feel that judgment or whatever. And sometimes it's just people's perception, right? Sometimes it's just people just being, judgmental on themselves, and they're gonna project that onto you because I'm like, you're not as good as me because I'm like this, but I'm not as good as I want to be, so you're not as good. And it's like, no, that's crap. Like, quit doing that to people. Quit doing that to yourself. And
Totally.
so it's like sometimes you just have to completely ignore that garbage because it could reveal that you don't want that person's opinion, right? Or that group
Right.
of people's opinion because it's
Yeah.
actually detrimental to how you want to live.
Right.
So, like,
You don't
you
have to
grow
believe what
towards
they
something
say.
else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to. Yeah. You don't have to believe what anybody says. I mean, that's where where you if you actually break out of the seed and you break out of your shell and you try things, um, where you actually get to like the real test is for yourself. It's like who care you like it's hard. It's a hard lesson to learn. It's a hard practice to keep up, but it's like um, because the impulse for all of us is like to want to get validation for that we're doing things well. I mean, I think in some respects, maybe not everybody, but like you just have to look at social media today to see that most people are seeking some sort of validation.
Mm-hmm.
Look at politics, look at anything. People need people. I mean, it's very much a community. We're a community-driven species,
Mm-hmm.
or social-driven species. Um, but yeah, the only person that you really need to convince is yourself that I'm worth or I can achieve the dream. And
Yeah.
that's all of the any story of anybody that you look up to or that is a success, they they have that. in them, where it's like they didn't let anybody tell them no, they didn't let anybody tell them they couldn't do. If anything, that was fuel to the fire.
Mm-hmm.
Where they reinforced the message that they had internally. Like you can hang on to the. That's what's interesting too. Is like you can hang on to the seed. Like you become. You can only become more than the seed. Like by leaving the the shell and the safety of the seed, you can only become more of the seed, even if that thing isn't what you wanted to be or planned to be. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're still more than you were. You're exactly that. You're more than you were when you broke free from
Yeah.
that shell, uh, and that can't be anything but positive. Even if the experience is hell, it's like, well, it gives you that vantage point. Now you have that. Well, I thought this was going to happen, and it didn't. It was actually the opposite. So that's possible now.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's possible, so I can use that experience to either start. I know which direction I want to go now. It gives you direction. It gives you creativity,
Mm-hmm.
and potentially, hope for, because as long as you're alive, you can continue to practice, do new iterations, experience. Be grateful for each day that you have because it's a new opportunity to make something different or better for yourself or others.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so kumbaya.
Yeah. Yeah. So, we've basically touched on all of the major points there. Like
Well,
even
yeah.
in
So
your exploration of it, like you touched more points than I was
yeah,
able to reach.
that's my perception, baby. I don't know
Yeah.
where that aligns in my stars, but um, I maybe it's yeah. Let's see. Let's maybe touch back on the Mayan cross real quick because
Sure.
you talking about being a knife and a laser. I don't know what the tones are for these. What was the symbol for your opposite the knife? The knife was your
Oh, as
left
nine
brain.
knife and 10 death
And
transformation.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And so like
Um,
if you look at your cross, like it goes in a very specific pattern. Like you'll have your day and your sign, and then you add 5 to the tone, and that'll give you the tone for your
okay,
north symbol,
got
and
it.
then it goes sequentially that way. So it'll be for
Cool, cool.
me, it's my tone is number 3, and
So
then so my north node tone is 8, and then it
eight.
goes 9, 10, 11. So my south node
Gotcha. Going back.
is
Yeah.
yeah.
So you can help me out here and hammer in the details because
Hmm.
I'd love to know. And I love that we did an in-depth kind of like look at the Mayan cross because I feel like that is very much a 5 point kind of thing to do, right? Because you
Hmm.
have 5 signs essentially,
Yeah.
uh, with your north, your south, your east, your west, and your center.
Yeah.
Um, so that's super cool. I'm loving how this particular episode has come together. I feel like this is our best one yet, and they're only going to
Yeah.
get better. So let's see. My left arm is that going to be my right brain? Uh,
Is that how it's defining it? Or are you saying left arm as in like west?
Great question. So let's see. As I'm looking at it on my Mayan cross here,
Yeah.
um, top monkey, rainstorm, deer. At the feet, to the left is the reed, to the right is the serpent.
So
Um, but it's
so
saying here, it's saying left arm is serpent. So I'm thinking I'm thinking that's my right brain. It's also calling it my challenges. So that might be the negative. So whether that's east or west.
yeah. If it's saying left arm, then yeah, that's probably right brain. And then right arm would be left brain. Uh,
Right
so
arm, right arm is gifts. Also, it's phrasing it as gifts, which is the reed. So I'll tell you what it says, and then we can also kind of like figure out what the tones are, and then maybe you could give me some analysis on what the tones, how they might influence that.
All
Is
right.
that something we can? Oh,
Sure.
you want to look it up too?
Well, yeah, because I'm trying to just visualize this here, and it's kind of freaking
Here, I
me
can show
out.
you.
Um,
Well,
well,
you're gonna look it up on your thing.
I'm gonna look mine up just to make sure I'm correlating this properly.
All right, you do your research, and I'm going to just talk about what it tells me here for
Sure.
this. Left arm challenges serpent. Serpent energy is spiritually activating and erotic for a rainstorm person. If not monitored and governed, the intensity could be expended on the wrong partner or create a dysfunctional family. Yikes, that sounds scary. Especially since I'm starting a family right now. But um, plus the challenges for not monitored and governed. Ooh, I've got to keep control of my serpent. That just that sounds that
So where are you
sounds different.
seeing
Huh?
this arm thing?
So I'm looking on mayancross.com.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Are you interpreting it? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, I did. Show me the interpretation.
Okay.
Right arm, my gifts,
Ah,
read.
okay. Feet. I gotcha.
This
Left
energy
arm.
brings rainstorm the outward appearance of credibility and authority, especially on the home front. On the inside, they are vulnerable and dependent and should develop their spiritual potential in front of the altar through ritual. I mean, I definitely feel that one for sure. It's like,
So it says left arm, right arm. I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be left brain, right brain. So left is
okay,
left and right is right.
okay.
So your challenges would be the read.
My challenges would be the read. It's
Which
saying
one
the
is
challenges are the serpent.
the serpent? Okay, so yeah. So that would be your left brain. That's how your logical mind works.
Right.
And then your right brain would be your gifts, your
Yeah, I mean,
creativity.
just broadly how I'm interpreting this based on what I know about myself, the challenges with regard to the serpent. I mean, you know, I just know that I'm very susceptible to distraction, and in general. So like, I have a lot of creative energy, but like a lot
Mm-hmm.
of it goes wherever, and I can't like organize it and focus it. It's kind of like the opposite of the knife and the laser. It's like too broad and it's too regular for me to kind of like grasp any one and hang on to it long enough to focus it down and like put it into a place where it can take form, take shape, and become something.
Mm-hmm. Which
Um,
is kind of what a snake does. It's like energy, like lightning. It's gonna go
yeah,
wherever it's gonna go. It's
yeah,
usually the
wiggly.
path
I
of
mean, there's
least
like a
resistance, right? So if you get
yeah, because you got no
distracted,
legs.
right, can't stand up on itself, but it's gonna
Yeah,
go towards whatever's the easiest for it to go to, which is probably why you
kind
get so
of like
easily
water.
distracted.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Mm.
It's gonna
Um,
quick take a left here. Oh, squirrel! Look over there,
oh
because that's
yeah,
where the
let's
energy
go.
is, right?
Right. Yes, and they're reptiles, so they're cold-blooded, and so they need to go where the warmth is too.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
That's funny. Was it in Avatar: The Last Airbender? They called lightning cold fire,
Cold fire. Oh, really?
right?
Oh,
Yeah. So if you're a
yeah.
thunderstorm, right, and your left brain is constantly just going towards the path of least resistance, like fire through trial by fire, but it's cold, right? Boom, boom,
Mm-hmm.
boom, 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 boom.
Mm.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah,
weird amount of wisdom in Avatar: The Last Airbender. But anyway,
there totally is. I watched it as an adult, and I totally agree. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, this is gonna be a perfect one. I'm gonna make I'm gonna make my children watch this whole series, whether they like it or not. Like, I'm gonna be that weird parent where I'm like, This is you're going to learn something from this. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's fun enough where it's like I don't know why they wouldn't like it, especially if your parent is asking you to watch TV. Like, where's the real loss there?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so let's see. I'm also so my right arm or my creative side or yeah
Mm-hmm. Which would be
my
right
right
brain.
brain.
Yeah.
Um, this energy brings Rainstorm the outward appearance of credibility and authority, especially on the home front. On the inside, they are vulnerable and dependent and should develop their spiritual potential in front of the altar through which ritual. That sounds super intense as well. Um, but
But
the way I kind of see that too is like I think growing up too, people thought I was confident, that I had some sort of confidence, or at least on the outside, like I had this appearance of like I know what I'm doing.
mm-hmm.
But I've always been very self-conscious or dependent on validation externally in order to feel like um, I knew I was doing good or doing right, or
Mm-hmm.
um, uh, which is so. And I think as an adult, like I've gotten a better handle on that, but it's still like it's just kind of one of those things that I think I'm always going to kind of be contending with. So we need more views, we need more audience, we need more likes and subscribes. Otherwise, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where my credibility or authority lies. Um,
You're doing good, dude. You're
yeah,
killing it.
that last. What was that?
You're doing good, man. You're killing it.
Hey! I don't need any false validation from you. Okay?
No, dude.
Um,
So just touching on those ideas, like you need to have spiritual devotion, right? Like you're doing that
right.
already. Like
No, I
you're
know. That's
devoting
what kind
yourself
of.
to practices and
Yeah, that's what got me
meditations and
excited too. It's
healing
like
process.
that's what that's what tells me that like I'm moving in the right direction. Like, or at least I'm starting to recognize the kind of the shadow side of my gifts. Right. So it's like I don't need external validation to create. Um, and same with the serpent side of things. If I'm kind of like we were talking about before we recorded the episode, it was like I just need to use the tools that are available to me to be creating every day.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so what if it's happening all the time? Well, then just kind of get it out of the system, and so it's somewhere else. And even if I never come back to it, like just the process of purging what whatever creative ideas I have is going to feel like it's not it's not it's not the energy is not coming this way. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah, you're doing good. Like it's like me being in the seed. I mean, bringing it back to the seed, right? It's like me going like putting roots out, putting branches out,
Mm-hmm.
and feeling the world by putting it outside of me. And but that in a sense that's going to come across. I can see that coming across as this outward appearance of credibility and authority. Like I'm just going to be saying stuff and doing stuff just because I feel like it's true to me.
Mm-hmm.
And people are going to be like, what is he? What does he know? But also, like, he seems like he's pretty sure.
Right.
He's pretty
Yeah.
sure about it. So, I can see where that juxtaposition, or again, that's another beautiful paradox. I was talking about how I love to. I don't want to say love to hate, but like fascinated, just
Mm-hmm.
fascinated with paradox. I think I'm very attached to paradoxes because
Yeah. Yeah.
because they can't be explained, but they can be. Like
Right.
but
They
you can
logically
understand them,
shouldn't
but they can't.
exist, but
Like
they do.
yes, like being alive is a paradox.
Right? How is all this meat matter working and collating
How does
into
it all
thought
work?
patterns and creative things and
What is
emotions and thoughts?
consciousness?
Yeah. But it's driven by something like consciousness or a soul or something. You know, the lightning in the
Yeah,
bottle. Like, how'd the lightning get
but
in the
that's not a
bottle? But it's there.
but that's not a physical. That's not a physical thing. Yeah, you can't get consciousness in a bottle. Oh, they actually have a name for that. Is that what you were saying? Is a is that like it starts with an H. What's that? That's like captured in a bottle, like a homunculi. Is that
Homunculus?
homunculus?
Homunculus? Yeah.
Homunculus?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that like a spirit captured in a?
That's
bottle,
exactly
or
what it is a soul, a little by definition, it's a small human being in a bottle, right? But
so
like the best
let's play with that because that is kind of like the seed of a consciousness that somehow you've trapped in a physical
a vessel,
container,
yeah.
vessel. Okay, so it's like it has to be some sort of magical spell that you put on that container so that it could contain a spiritual being, or you have the spiritual being under the impression that this physical container is their prison,
Mm,
right? So that they don't recognize their own um, that they're in a prison of their own mind, of their
mm-hmm.
own awareness. So it's one or the other, right? So
Yeah,
you've either expressed, because yeah,
bro.
spirits are ultimately supposed to be able to go wherever they want. Yeah. What do you?
Yeah, bro. I think you really would appreciate watching Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. It is
Okay.
like the quintessential idea behind alchemy, and it has a beautiful narrative that basically describes what you just did with a homunculus. Like
Yeah.
that's the long story effect of what's happening, and it's trying to control this world that it's been brought into after breaking out of its vessel, but stealing. I don't want to get too far into it, but
Yeah.
it's
No, I
it's
can't
it's
wait.
beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah, it's
That
a
sounds
bit
great.
intense sometimes, so I don't know if you want to watch it around your kid, but it's because it's not Avatar: The Last Airbender, man. It's
Sure. I mean, with a name like Full Metal Alchemist, I mean, sounds intense already.
right, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Which I mean, it explains itself within the story, so you understand where the title comes from. But yeah, it's rather intense.
Dude, hell yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I was just noticing the time here, bud. Like, how you doing? Like,
Yeah,
you need to.
I think this is good. I mean, I really think what was really cool about this episode so far, and kind of how it does feel like we are kind of winding down, is that we really did spend a lot of good time focused on talking about the day, the
Yeah.
topic. I mean, and I think that's what really made it a powerful episode so far. Is like we're always like open to you know threading off onto things, but like this one was focused about seed, and I could relate everything that we talked about back to it being a seed day, and also the tone of five.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just that's so cool, and I feel like we're only going to be able to do that uh, more efficiently moving forward. So
I
it
agree.
really does kind of feel like yes, we've done this 5 times now, but this is like our seed day. Like in a
Yeah.
sense, like it's like very like literal. Like this is kind of maybe I think what we've born today maybe is more or less um, exactly how these these podcasts should function. It's
Mm.
kind of like we should be able to talk about everything that we do talk about should be just right there next to the day, and we can always kind of funnel it back. So so I'm pumped. I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to what we might be able to talk about next, depending on when we're able to do this again.
Right. Me too, man. This is. I Yeah. I agree. This was very powerful and very focused episode, and I'm super impressed how you're able to just correlate everything in very quick, very quick manner. Just like
Hey,
I barely was able to get out all of the information, and you're already just like, yeah, that's like this and like this and like this and like this. Yeah, yeah,
hey, that it's a blessing and a curse. I mean, there's so many times where I wish I kind of had the laser focus that you have to like really dive deep into a topic because I feel like like who knows how long I'll be fascinated by this Mayan stuff too. Sometimes I think, right? Because it's like, is this just like a season that I'm in? And once I've soaked up enough of it, once we've done enough of these episodes, and I feel like I've got a good understanding of the Mayan Nawal and the Sulcan and everything, I'll be like, all right, what other ancient civilizations can we dive deep into?
Right? Yeah.
And maybe that'll be okay. Or like, how can we continue to make it go deeper? But yeah, so to have laser focus again, like I feel like that's how I would be able to manifest better if I had that ability that you do. So I definitely feel envious at times to um, because I never know when I'm going to have that laser focus. When I'm going to get so passionate about something or get caught up with something that it's going to carry me through or keep me focused on something.
Sure,
That's
sure.
also what I've talked about a lot. That's what I've been talking about a lot in my uh, the workbook that I'm trying to put together.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
the 0 to 10 uh, entertainment book, kind of looking at the numbers and the other representations that they have, kind of like we talked about five today and all the representations it has. It starts with zero, zero being the narrator, and we already talked about what zero means. But I'm also kind of want to make so uh, the kind of like guidebook is called Zeroed In. I came up with that recently.
Nice.
Uh,
I like it.
and yeah, it's going to be like you start with zero, uh, and because zero is it's the base, it's the foundation, it's the infinite potential, it's the seed, so to speak. It's where you start, and it's where you should always return. What did I want to do again? What
Mm-hmm.
was that? What was my objective? What was my goal? Oh yeah, to be an oak tree. Oh yeah, to become a diamond. Oh yeah, to become a super huge podcast star that talks about Mayan stuff and anything
Yeah,
else that
yeah.
might come up. Um, and but then it walks you through, a progressively more complex day one. Here's what you do day one. Day one is about discovering the self. Day two is about discovering the two sides of the self, or also the hero and the villain of your own story, uh, or the world at large. Like, what is good and evil, what is light and dark,
Mm-hmm.
and then three and on and so forth. It gets more complicated, right? Three is the story. Three is the beginning, the middle, the end. You start somewhere, something changes, and then you have a new normal.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it goes on like that all the way up to 10. And so that would
Nice.
be, so that's all I'm doing. But it's ultimately about focus. So I
Right.
think since an early age, I struggle with focus. Like we were talking about with the serpent, pew, 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 lightning,
Mm-hmm.
focus. How can I zero in? So all that ramble to say, man, it'd be nice to be a laser once in a while. Uh, and maybe I do. I do have that laser once in a while. But
Yeah.
it'd be nice to know when I had that power. Like if I had, because the lightning just happens. Like lightning in the
Yeah.
storm, it
Oh
just
yeah.
happens when it happens, and it's direct, it's precise, but it is a very short bursted
Burst.
laser.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And always following the path of least resistance. So if you've got that
yeah,
stream of potential ready to go, it just takes that moment of static buildup to boom, reach it.
boom, and it's there. Yeah,
Yeah. So sometimes you gotta bring those clouds closer together, right? Confine it, right? Give yourself that structure in order to build up that energy, and
mm,
then it's got to have a place to go. So,
yeah.
boom.
And that's what we're talking about too is constraints, right? So I think it's the more pressure and constraints, just the same pressure that makes a diamond, right? It's the pressure that builds that will get me more lasers, more
Yeah,
lightning bolts,
yeah, yeah,
um, and then yeah, who knows? What a scary storm that could become. Right?
right. Yeah, but
Lightning bolts
like
everywhere.
the goal for you is to be able to sit in the eye of that storm, which is ironically
While
the
there's while
most
there's lightning
calm.
bolts,
It's
I'm
the most
like
calm
glancing
point in
around.
the entire storm, right? Is the eye, and so like if you can tighten the storm around you and sit in that calm space, it's gonna happen, dude.
Dude, quit pumping me up, man. You're such a great road. I want to be able to like make jokes like this. Like you just keep widening the road, to let this storm through. Right? You just kind of it's like, oh man, I'm just gonna. Not even a road anymore. You're a highway. You're the highway interchange. At the center of gosh, the Highway of America. That's like
Yeah,
in Ohio or something. Like where all
the
the most highway. interchanges and highways and interstates come together.
Yeah, yeah. It's like kind of like a uh, uh, your what is it? The blood vessels and veins and arteries. You
Right.
know, your cardiac highway. You know,
Yeah. Allowing
it's
things to flow
everything's going
and get
through
where they're going.
there. It branches off into wherever it needs to go. So long as the road is there, it's gonna go. So
Yeah. What kind of infrastructure bill do we need to get you to be the biggest, best road you can possibly be? You know.
I just gotta sit at
Um,
the heart of it, man. You know, be
you just, yeah. I guess
the
being a road, it's not like there's a lot for you to do, uh,
just be
right?
open
Besides
and
be
clear.
just stay, which can be very difficult. Like it's hard.
Oh yeah, you're telling me, bro.
Oh man. Actually, that made me just realize is that that's exactly that's exactly what zero is about. Like as I've been trying to describe zero, being open and clear, it's like the hardest thing. That's why you have to continually return to it.
hmm
Uh, as soon as we're born into this world, we're like inundated with this is what is happening. This is what you got to do, and it's
hmm
like, oh, what do I got to do to get to a place of peace, a place of serenity? It's like, yeah, nothing. Like you just got to stop the doing,
hmm
and stay, and then you'll find clearance. Then you'll find the clearance. And so, man, is the road? Nothing is more infinity than the road. Nothing is more nothing and everything than the road. Wow,
Yeah,
dude,
yeah,
you
yeah.
keep holding that space. You keep clearing the traffic because
Do my best, bro.
because you're doing amazing. Yeah.
You too, man. Like you're doing some great work here. I swear, man. Like
Hell yeah.
it's a lot of fun to watch.
Cool. Well,
All right,
I
bro.
look forward to the next episode. We'll see
Yeah,
what day we land on and what we come up with for that.
yeah, yeah. It's gonna be fun. All right,
Peace,
man.
everybody.
See ya.